Welcome to the Sleepy Brainist. Tonight we're asking a gentle question. Can your brain really grow? Settle in, slow your breathing, and let your thoughts drift as we explore the science of a changing mind. Before we begin, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I love seeing our quiet little community on the map. And if you enjoy relaxing journeys like this, please subscribe, give this a like, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a soothing episode. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and notice the simple rhythm of your breathing. In and out. Let your shoulders loosen, your jaw unclench, and your thoughts settle like snow in a quiet globe. As you sink into this calm, imagine your brain not as a rigid machine, but as a living landscape, changing with the weather of your days, reshaped by the footsteps you take most often. This is the gentle truth at the heart of tonight's story. Your brain is not fixed. It listens to how you live. It learns what you repeat. It grows toward what you love. Every time you do something, tie a shoelace, recall a name, hum a tune, tiny sparks leap between nerve cells. Where those sparks travel again and again, the connections become easier to cross, like a path in grass, pressed flatter by frequent feet. Where a trail is rarely used, the grass springs back. In science, this is called plasticity. Your brain's quiet ability to strengthen some pathways and let others fade. It isn't loud or dramatic. It's humble, steady, faithful to your routines. What you practice becomes easier because your brain is changing itself to help you. Think of the first time you tried something new, a language phrase that felt awkward on your tongue, a melody that made your fingers stumble, a breath practice that wandered off after only a few seconds. In the beginning, the path is soft and uncertain. Neurons reach out with tiny branches, testing, listening, waiting for a reason to grow. Each attempt sends a signal that says, "This matters." Each return to the task adds a blade of grass to the pathway, a pebble to the garden path, a brick to a bridge. Slowly, the route becomes smoother. What once required effort becomes natural. The change isn't only in your confidence, it's in your wiring. Some connections grow stronger with use. Some gently loosen when they're neglected, freeing space and energy for what you actually need. This careful balance, strengthening and softening, keeps your mind from becoming a cluttered attic. Instead, with rest and repetition, it becomes more like a well-tended library, where the books you reach for often are kept on a nearby shelf, and the ones you never open are moved to storage. Nothing is lost without purpose. Your brain is tidying for you. Now breathe in and out. Picture a city at night, viewed from far above. Streets flicker to life as traffic flows. The routes you drive daily glow bright and fast. The little side roads dim in the quiet. With each day's practice, the city subtly rearranges itself. Lights where they're needed, wider lanes for the busiest avenues, fewer detours where confusion used to live. That city is your brain's network of connections. When you rest, maintenance crews sweep through. They mend tiny cracks, remove debris, adjust the lights. The city works better tomorrow because of the calm work done tonight. Plasticity is not something that stops when we grow up. It continues, quietly, as long as we are alive and paying attention. It happens when you learn a new route home. It happens when you forgive yourself and try again. It happens when you move your body, listen to someone you love, solve a small puzzle, or savor a story before sleep. The brain makes note of repetition, of emotion, and of meaning. A fact learned with indifference may fade. A lesson learned with curiosity, awe, or kindness tends to stay. Your feelings are not just visitors. They're gentle editors, deciding which pages to keep in the book. If you've ever worried that you're just not the type to learn a skill, it may help to imagine growth as a conversation rather than a test. Your brain waits for your side of the dialogue. Will you return tomorrow? Will you try again, but a little softer this time? Will you let mistakes be messages instead of verdicts? When you answer yes, the brain replies by adjusting the dials, turning up sensitivity in some places, dampening noise in others. The conversation becomes a rhythm. Over days and weeks, something new begins to feel familiar. You can guide this process with small, kind choices. Short, frequent practice sessions whisper to the brain, "Keep this." A playful approach, curiosity instead of pressure, tells your circuits that it's safe to grow. Gentle focus, not forced concentration, gives signals a clean path. Even how you speak to yourself matters. Encouraging words lower the inner static, and a quieter background makes it easier for new patterns to be heard. If you'd like, you can try a tiny experiment right now. Bring to mind a simple pattern, perhaps tracing a square in the air with your finger or tapping a slow rhythm with your hand. Do it once, very slowly, paying attention to the sensation. Pause. Do it again with the same slowness, noticing if it feels a little smoother. After a few repetitions, rest. You may sense how quickly the body and brain begin to cooperate when you move with presence. That cooperation is the seed of change. There is also a kind of gentle pruning. Imagine a garden where some branches are trimmed to let light reach the flowers beneath. Your brain does something similar. When you stop using a pathway, its edges grow softer. This isn't failure, it's wisdom. Energy is precious, and your brain invests it where it will help you most. In this way, letting go becomes part of growth. Old habits loosen their grip as you nurture new ones. The gardener is patient and never in a hurry. You might wonder, what if I've repeated the wrong things? What if I've practiced worry? It's a fair question. Many of us have. Worry is a form of rehearsal. The brain can learn it just like any other skill. But the same rules that built worry can unbuild it. Small, steady moments of safety, slow breathing, a quiet walk, a kind conversation, teach your system a different pattern. Over time, calm becomes easier to find. You are not undoing yourself. You are adding new options and letting the old ones relax. Notice your breath again, in and out. With each exhale, feel the space you're making. Think of a memory you're fond of. Perhaps you learned a recipe from someone dear, or a song you used to hum without thinking. Those memories exist not only as pictures in the mind, but as shaped pathways, tiny bridges built through shared time and feeling. When you recall them, you walk those bridges again, tapping them, maintaining them, keeping them strong. Your senses too reshape your brain. The texture of a page beneath a fingertip, the smell of rain on warm stone, the hush of late-night streets. These impressions are not trivial. They're part of how your brain maps the world. The more you notice, the richer the map becomes. You don't need to travel far to expand it. You only need to pay gentle attention to where you already are. Learning often feels uneven. Fast one day, stuck the next. That's normal. Think of ocean waves. Each one reshapes the shore a little, even when you can't see it. Practice acts the same way. On days that feel slow, changes may be knitting themselves quietly in the background, waiting for your next return. The brain appreciates consistency more than intensity. 10 quiet minutes most days can become a tide strong enough to redraw a coastline. Kind structure helps. Try setting a simple cue. After you make tea, you review a phrase. After you stretch, you hum a line of music. Before you sleep, you write one gentle sentence. Cues are signposts. They save your brain from decision fatigue. Over time, the cue and the practice link arms. The path brightens. You don't push yourself down it. You're carried by the little routine you created. And then there is rest. Growth is not a non-stop march. It's a dance between effort and ease. During restful moments, especially during deep sleep, your brain replays patterns, trims excess noise, and stabilizes what you practiced. If practice is planting, sleep is watering. If attention is sunlight, kindness is good soil. You don't need to see the roots to trust that they're growing. You can welcome plasticity into everyday life with tiny acts of mindful novelty. Brush your teeth with the other hand for a few strokes. Take 3 breaths before you answer a message. Listen to one new piece of music with your full attention. Learn a word in a language you love the sound of. These small twists gently wake circuits that have been dozing, reminding the brain that the world is larger than yesterday. If you've carried the belief that change requires grand gestures, you can set that belief down for a while. Grand gestures can be beautiful, but they are not required. Your brain honors the humble repetition of small things. The story it tells itself is written line by line, not in one dramatic paragraph. You can begin wherever you are, with whatever time you have, and your brain will meet you there. As you rest in this calm, imagine your inner landscape one more time. Paths weave through soft hills, a few new footbridges glimmering in the dusk. Somewhere, a quiet gardener moves carefully, trimming here, watering there, planting something small that will bloom when it's ready. You are not stuck. You are a place where growth is happening, delicately, continuously, often invisibly, and always in response to the kindness of your attention. Breathe in and out. Carry this gentle knowledge with you. Every peaceful repetition is a brushstroke. Every curious moment is a seed. Every night of rest is rain on the soil. Your brain listens. It reshapes itself to help you live the story you practice. And tonight, you practiced calm, patience, and the belief that change is possible. Soften your breath and imagine a tiny river crossing, a narrow gap between 2 shores. On one bank, a nerve cell hums with a quiet charge. On the other, its neighbor waits, listening. Between them lies the synapse, a whisper-wide space where messages leap from one world to the next. Here is where growth happens, not with a shout, but with countless small exchanges, again and again, until a fragile bridge becomes a sturdy walkway. Inside the sending shore, little packets of messenger chemicals wait like boats in a harbor. When the first cell fires, a wave arrives at the dock and signals the boats to launch. They drift across the gap and meet special receivers on the other shore. If enough boats arrive, if the timing is right, the listening cell wakes and passes the message forward. With repetition, this crossing becomes easier. The dock widens, more boats are built, more receivers are placed. Your effort becomes fluency, and the river feels smaller. You can picture it more closely. Each boat is a tiny bubble carrying a chemical message. The dock that releases them can become more efficient, learning to send more or to send with better timing. The receiving side can add more gates that open when messages arrive. or it can move the gates closer to where boats tend to land. The distance between shores can even be shaped. The little bumps that receive messages, delicate spines on the listening cell, can swell, lengthen, or refine their shape to catch signals more gracefully. What you repeat doesn't just live in memory as a story, it lives in structure, adjusted to serve you. Some changes make a bridge stronger, more gates that open quickly, more boats launched in a heartbeat of need. Some changes soften a bridge's responsiveness, a gentle loosening when a path is rarely used. Both are forms of wisdom. A mind that strengthens everything becomes flooded with noise. A mind that only loosens becomes dim. Your brain tends a balance, brightening the routes you walk often, dimming the ones you leave behind, keeping the whole city lit just enough. Timing, too, is part of the dance. If one cell speaks just before another, the link between them grows. It's as if the first shore lights a lantern that helps the second see the boats arriving, and because the lantern is helpful, it's kept ready for next time. If messages arrive out of order, late or unhelpful, the system learns that too, and the lantern's oil is saved for other docks. Bit by bit, your networks learn the rhythms that matter to you. The fingers that land together on a chord, the steps that follow one another in a dance, the syllables that line up into a phrase you're practicing. While these bridges carry excitement forward, other bridges specialize in quieting. They're like soft gates, easing a rush to a calm stream when the current runs too fast. These inhibitory connections help your thoughts stay focused and your movements precise, dimming nearby noise so the main melody can be heard. Growth happens here as well. Repeated needs for steadiness strengthen the calming circuits that keep your mind from scattering. It's not only more that signals learning, sometimes less but cleaner is the lesson the brain keeps. All around the shores, caretakers work. Astrocytes, star-shaped helpers, watch the crossing like gentle lighthouse keepers. They soak up excess chemical signals so the harbour doesn't overflow, share fuel with hard-working docks, and release their own quiet cues when it's time to adjust traffic. Other guardians patrol as night gardeners, trimming straggling twigs of connection that block the path, clearing debris after a busy day, making sure tomorrow's crossings are safe. You don't feel this caretaking as a sensation. You experience it as clarity, as ease, as oh, that finally clicks. When practice is steady, the change can last. Imagine the receiving side laying down extra planks so gates are anchored more firmly. Receivers that were once rare become common, boats that were few become many. The next signal arrives and click. The response is quicker, surer, smoother. This is the chemistry of keeping what you learn. Certain pathways become favoured roads with wider lanes, better signage, and cleaner turns. If you stop using that road for a while, the signs can fade. A few boards can be moved elsewhere, not as punishment, simply as good housekeeping. Emotion helps decide which bridges to upgrade. A spark of curiosity, a moment of surprise, a small joy. These are like sticky notes on the blueprint that say, "Save this." Attention is the lamp your mind holds over the crossing. It brightens the work site. When you bring gentle focus to a new skill, the builders gather, tools in hand. When you practice while stressed or scattered, the lamp wobbles, and the upgrades don't settle as firmly. It's why short, calm sessions so often outgrow long, forced ones. There is a companionship between signals and the soil they travel through. Some chemicals whisper, "Be plastic now, this matters," opening windows during which change is easier to make. Others say steady the ship, helping new structures set like cooling clay. Together they mark peaks and rests, a new step learned here, a consolidation there. You don't need to name these signals to benefit from them. You feel them as moments when learning flows and moments when it quietly sinks in. Repetition is the sculptor, but it works best with spacing. Practice a little, rest a little, return. Each pass adds a thread to the weave, and the fabric strengthens as it dries between sessions. Even when you step away, some bridges are still being bolted down. The blueprint is being redrawn in the background. This is why a skill can feel shaky one evening and lightly improved the next morning. The builders didn't stop when you put the tool down. They just needed quiet to seal their work. Let your breath slow. Picture a row of tiny gates on the listening shore. With each successful practice, another gate is installed. With each mindful review, a latch is oiled. The message that once struggled to get through now slips across with ease. In some places, gates are removed on purpose because a different route serves the city better now. Nothing vital is thrown away. The pieces are reused where they will help more. Your brain loves thrift and design. You can sense this process in small daily moments. The tongue-twisting phrase that used to trip you now flows. The movement that once felt like separate parts coordinated under a single intention. The name you wanted to remember appears without strain. Under each success, thousands of dock workers and caretakers have adjusted a little thing. The number of boats, the placement of gates, the shape of a receiving spine, until the whole voyage feels natural. Practice with kindness becomes even more effective. Encouraging words turn down the static that interferes with signals. A playful mood loosens tight hands and lets timing improve. The bridge builders are responsive to the climate. A soft, safe atmosphere invites them to try new layouts. A harsh, hurried one makes them cautious and conservative. When you treat your attempts as conversation rather than verdict, the city feels safer to renovate. There is also a beautiful principle of balance. If one route becomes too dominant, nearby calmers strengthen to keep the system from overheating. If signals weaken too much, sensitivity rises so meaningful, messages aren't missed. This homecoming to balance is always underway. You don't steer each bolt by will. You set the conditions, attention, repetition, rest, and a friendly inner voice, and your networks negotiate the rest with ancient wisdom. Imagine for a moment a scene inside a single synapse at the end of a good day of practice. The sending dock has learned to time its launches more precisely. The receiving shore has added a few extra gates where boats actually land, not where they were always supposed to. The little spine has thickened slightly, creating a cozier nook for messages to be welcomed. The lighthouse keeper jots a note. This route is getting busy, and arranges to keep the waters clear. When night comes, the gardeners drift through, taking away leftover clutter, making room for tomorrow's upgrades. All of this unfolds in silence. There are no marching bands to celebrate a new gate, no speeches to honor a well-placed dock, yet your experience changes. The path feels smoother, effort chills into grace, and because it becomes easier, you return more often, which invites even better building. A small positive loop born from patience. If you've taught your synapses something you don't want, anxious loops, automatic tensions, remember that these bridges were built the same way, by repetition under a certain climate. You can change the weather, slow the breath to give the caretakers a clearer view. Practice tiny moments of safety so calming routes feel relevant. Speak kindly so the lamp of attention burns steady. Over days, the city starts to favor different roads, and the old ones narrow without drama. Take one last look at the river crossing. If you listen closely, you might imagine the creak of wood settling, the gentle clink of a new hinge, the hush of water flowing past pilings. Growth at the synapse is this quiet craftsmanship. Boats and gates, timing and balance, builders and caretakers working by lamplight. When you practice with presence, you're not only trying harder, you're giving the workers everything they need: a clear plan, good light, patient pauses, and the trust that small improvements add up. Let your breath float in and out, unforced. The next time you return to your skill, your phrase, your step, your pattern, the bridge will be waiting, a little wider, a little surer, a little more your own. And when you rest, the city will keep tending itself, preparing for your next crossing. Let your breath settle into an easy rhythm and picture a quiet courtyard tucked deep inside your mind. This is a place that helps you lay down new memories and find your way through space, the hippocampus. Along one curved edge of this courtyard is a garden bed called the dentate gyrus. For years, scientists have visited this spot and asked a simple, daring question. Do new flowers still appear here in adulthood? Do we, in some small way, grow new neurons? The careful answer is maybe, and if so, quietly. In many animals, mice, rats, and even certain birds, researchers have watched new neurons emerge here after birth and continue appearing through life. In songbirds, fresh neurons blossom with the seasons as songs are learned and renewed. In rodents, enriched environments, steady movement, and low stress seem to nurture these sprouts. In humans, the story is more delicate. Some studies suggest that new neurons may still rise in the dentate gyrus well into adulthood, though more slowly than in youth. Others, using different methods or tissue, find only the faintest trace, or none at all. The garden, if it grows at all in adults, is subtle. It sprouts small, rare, and easy to miss. What would these newcomers do if they appear? Imagine the dentate gyrus as a gatekeeper that helps you keep similar memories from blurring together. Separating two cafes with the same music, two streets with the same trees, 2 days with the same conversation. This skill is sometimes called pattern separation. New neurons, being young and excitable, may help the gate learn fresh distinctions, assigning new experiences a separate shelf so they don't spill into yesterday's box. They might also help with gentle forgetting, clearing old, unneeded labels so shelves are free for what matters now. Remembering and forgetting are partners. Growth asks for both. If a new neuron does take root, its journey is slow and careful. A stem-like cell in the dentate gyrus divides. One of its daughters begins to specialize, choosing the path of a future granule cell. For a while, it resembles a teenager, sensitive, flexible, learning how to behave in the network. It extends a tiny tree of branches to receive signals and sends out a single slender wire to join the hippocampal circuit. Over weeks, it listens and learns. The connections it uses most often are reinforced. The ones it doesn't need fade. Only a fraction of these young cells survive long term, and their survival likely depends on what you do and feel, whether the world offers novelty, meaning, and a sense of safety while they're finding their place. The neighborhood around this garden matters. Blood vessels supply oxygen and carry signals from the body. Hormones, growth factors, small messengers that say conditions are good or rest and repair. star-shaped astrocytes share fuel and help maintain a calm chemical sea. Microglia, the brain's careful gardeners, prune weak twigs so stronger branches can thrive. When stress is high for too long, certain stress chemicals can dampen this whole scene, as if a cold wind passes through and tells the seedlings to lie low. When life offers gentle challenge, walks, play, learning, social warmth, the weather is kinder and the odds of growth improve. Movement seems to be a friendly message to this garden. In animals, regular aerobic activity boosts molecules like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which acts a bit like rich soil and water for neuronal growth and plasticity. In people, consistent movement often pairs with clearer mood and thinking. And while we can't watch new human neurons appear in real time, the same nourishing signals are present. Sleep also matters. During deep, unforced rest, the brain replays and consolidates patterns, clears metabolic clutter, and restores chemical balance. A rested garden is one that can respond when morning arrives. Emotion and attention leave fingerprints here. When a learning moment carries curiosity or joy, the brain's internal chemistry briefly tilts toward flexibility. It marks the experience as useful and opens a window during which change is easier. If a young neuron is trying to join a circuit at that time, it may receive just the encouragement it needs to survive. If the atmosphere is harsh, rushed, fearful, critical, signals tend to favor immediate reactions over delicate growth. The garden isn't ruined by a bad day. It simply listens to the climate over time. Some medicines, such as certain antidepressants, appear in animal studies to increase the birth or survival of new dentate gyrus neurons, and the mood benefits may partly rely on that change. In people, the picture is more complex, but the overlap is suggestive. Improvements in mood and flexibility often arrive slowly, on the timescale of weeks, much like the maturation of a young neuron finding its place. It helps to remember that growth in the hippocampus is not only about brand new cells. Even without a single new neuron, existing cells can change their connections and responsiveness. Spines on their branches can swell or shrink. Signal strength can adjust. Supportive cells can tune the chemistry of the neighborhood. Plasticity is a spectrum. New wires, new gates, new timing, many routes to a more capable circuit. The question of adult-born neurons sits within this larger truth. Your brain can still adapt. Now, as your breathing stays soft, imagine walking through a library that represents your hippocampus. New books arrive each day, some slim, some heavy. Pattern separation is the librarian's skill to shelve a new book in the right place, not jam it into an almost right spot. If the library still hires a few new librarians, young neurons, they bring fresh sensitivity for what is similar but not the same. If not, the staff you already have can still rearrange shelves, improve the catalogue, and light the aisles more clearly. Either way, the library can get better at its job. There is a quiet elegance in how the dentate gyrus balances novelty and familiarity. Too much novelty and nothing sticks. Every day feels like scattered confetti. Too much familiarity and new experiences are forced into old boxes. Curiosity fades. The hippocampus helps steer between these, and young neurons, if present, may tilt the system toward welcoming the new without losing the thread of your life's story. If you want to support this gentle balance, think in terms of conditions rather than control. Offer your days a rhythm, a bit of movement, a bit of learning, a bit of play, and enough sleep. Seek small doses of meaningful novelty. Take a different path on your walk, try a new recipe, learn one phrase in a language you enjoy hearing. Protect little islands of calm where stress cannot shout over the subtler signals of growth. Let your attention be warm instead of harsh. Consistency whispers more effectively than intensity. You can even try a tiny practice now. Bring to mind 2 memories that are similar: a pair of cafes you've visited, 2 beaches, 2 rainy afternoons. Slowly describe to yourself one small difference between them: a smell, a sound, a color of light. Then another difference. You're practicing the librarian's art, asking the hippocampus to keep experiences distinct while honoring their kinship. This kind of gentle noticing is not dramatic, but it trains the circuits you rely on each day. The debate about adult-born neurons in humans will continue, refined by better tools and careful studies. The outcome will matter to science, yet your daily experience already carries the important part. Your memory system remains responsive to how you live. Whether through brand new cells or finely tuned old ones, the hippocampus can shape itself around your habits, your rests, and your moods. So as night leans in, picture that garden edge of the hippocampus again. Maybe a few new shoots are there, small and bright. Maybe the existing branches are simply stretching, making room, refining their reach. The caretakers adjust the lights. The air is calm. You do not need to force anything to grow. Offer steady, kind conditions: movement, sleep, curiosity, connection, and trust the slow, sensible work your brain performs on your behalf. Breathe in and out, and let the courtyard stay quiet as it tends to tomorrow's memory. Let your breath ease in and out, like a tide that knows the shore. Now picture a long, slender wire reaching from one part of your brain to another. This wire is an axon, a messenger line. To help signals travel swiftly and cleanly along it, the body wraps the wire in a soft, insulating coat called myelin. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't sparkle. It simply makes everything work better, faster, steadier, more efficient. So thoughts arrive when they're needed. If you've ever seen an electrical cable with a protective covering, you already understand the idea. Myelin is living insulation. In the brain and spinal cord, it's made by glial helpers called oligodendrocytes. In the nerves that travel through the rest of the body, it's made by Schwann cells. These cells reach out and gently wind layers around axons, like a ribbon wrapped neatly along a line. Where the wrapping pauses, tiny gaps remain, regular intervals known as nodes. Those gaps are not mistakes. They are the secret to speed. A nerve impulse is a brief electrical change that moves along the axon. Instead of sliding smoothly like a slow wave over every millimeter, it hops from node to node. This leap is called saltatory conduction. Imagine stepping stones across a stream. The stones, the nodes, are placed just right, so you can bound across quickly without soaking your feet. The myelin between the stones keeps the signal from leaking away. With each hop, the message refreshes itself and continues forward, covering distance in a fraction of the time. Speed matters because the brain is a timing masterpiece. Think of a musical group playing together in the dark. Each musician has to hear the others and land notes almost simultaneously. If one player is even a little late, the song starts to wobble. Circuits in your brain depend on similar timing. Signals from faraway regions need to arrive in sync with local ones. Myelin helps align these arrivals down to tiny slices of time, milliseconds that your experience depends on but never notices. When myelin is tuned well, networks hum, perception is crisp, movement is smooth, memory recalls at the moment you reach for it. There's more than speed here, there's efficiency. Every nerve impulse lets charged particles rush across the axon's membrane. Afterward, tiny pumps work to restore balance, and those pumps cost energy. Myelin reduces how often the entire axon has to do this hard reset by confining the busy exchange to the nodes. The result is thrift, less energy burned for the same signal, leaving fuel for everything else your brain must do. Myelin is not a one-time gift delivered in childhood and then forgotten. It can change in response to what you practice, a form of plasticity that quietly adjusts your brain's wiring to your needs. When an axon is used, often during learning, nearby precursor cells, young oligodendrocytes waiting for a cue, are more likely to mature and add fresh wraps. Existing myelin can also be refined, layers can thicken, nodes can be spaced a little differently, segments can be adjusted so that signals line up better with their partners. Over days and weeks, a skill you repeat, reading a musical line, tracing a character, balancing on a bike, gains not only stronger synapses, but smoother highways to carry those signals on time. Consider how a new habit feels at first. Steps are awkward, thoughts arrive a beat late, your hands and eyes seem out of sync. Early on, unmyelinated or thinly myelinated roots are doing their best, but they're leaky and slow. As you return with steady practice, the system takes the hint. This root is important. Wrapping begins, a layer here, a layer there. Hops between nodes grow longer and more reliable. What once felt like a dirt path becomes a paved road, then a well-lit expressway. You don't notice the construction crews. You feel the upgrade as ease. Not every axon is heavily myelinated, and that's by design. Some very short local connections don't need fast insulation. The extra wrapping wouldn't add much. Others carry slow modulatory signals that are meant to drift like a background tone. Your brain chooses where to invest based on function. The result is a landscape with thick, gleaming tracts carrying long-distance messages and finer, quieter fibers handling local matters, each suited to its role. Support is all around this process. Astrocytes share fuel and help keep the chemical environment steady. Microglia monitor the neighborhood, trimming what's unnecessary and clearing debris so new building can proceed. Blood vessels bring oxygen and the raw materials for membranes. When life is calm and rhythms are kind, the work is orderly. When stress stays high for too long, certain signals can make building more cautious. You don't have to micromanage these details. You can influence them with conditions, movement, rest, and a friendly inner climate. Movement is especially helpful. Gentle, regular aerobic activity tends to send growth-friendly messages throughout the brain, encouraging the birth and maturation of myelin-making cells. You might notice this as clearer thinking after a walk, easier recall after light exercise, or a steadier mood. Sleep matters too. During deep sleep, the brain catches up on maintenance, and the cells that build myelin express the tools they need to do their job. If practice is the workday, sleep is when the roads are resurfaced and the lane markers are repainted. Nutrition contributes quietly as well. Myelin is rich in lipids, fats that form the bulk of its layers, along with proteins that organize and stabilize the wrap. A balanced diet that includes healthy fats, plenty of varied plants, adequate protein, and hydration provides the raw materials for membranes and the energy to assemble them. None of this is dramatic. It's an accumulation of small supportive choices that keep the cruise supplied. Timing can be tuned, not just speed. Imagine two signals that need to arrive together for a circuit to recognize a pattern, a visual cue and a sound, a thought and a movement. If one pathway is longer or naturally slower, the system can adjust myelin along that route to shave off a few milliseconds so the arrivals meet. This is part of how practice sharpens performance. You're not only strengthening connections at synapses, you're aligning travel times along the whole route so everything lands on beat. There's an elegance to how new wraps are placed. An oligodendrocyte doesn't simply choose one axon. It may support several, creating matched upgrades across related pathways. It senses activity, a burst of signals, a rhythm of use, and responds where it can make the most difference. Over time, this leads to coordinated changes that feel like a circuit growing up together. Smoother perception, tighter timing, less effort to keep parts in sync. When myelin thins or is damaged, signals can slow or scatter, and functions that relied on crisp timing become tiring. The body knows how to repair, especially in the peripheral nerves where Schwann cells are adept at cleanup and remyelination after injury. In the brain and spinal cord, repair is more complicated, but plasticity remains. Alternative routes can strengthen, new wraps can form, and practice can reclaim ground, slowly and patiently. Even here, conditions matter: steady activity, rest, and a supportive environment. You can work with this system in small, humane ways. Choose modest, regular practice over heroic marathons. Repeat the same core elements with curiosity, not pressure. Add brief rests so consolidation can begin even before sleep. Pair learning with movement when you can. Review a phrase while walking. Hum a line after stretching. Protect your attention like a small flame. Scattered, hurried practice is like trying to paint lane lines in a storm. Gentle focus lets the upgrade stick. Try a tiny experiment now. Tap a simple rhythm, 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4, and keep it soft. After a minute, pause, breathe, and do it again. Notice if the beat feels steadier the second time, if your hands and breath find a shared pace. You just gave your nervous system a clean pattern to myelinate toward. Consistent intervals, low stress, clear cues. It will remember that rhythm better than you think. You might also explore just different enough practice. If a skill feels stale, change one small parameter: tempo, key, angle, or sequence. Novelty wakes up attention. Attention brightens the worksite. Then return to the original form. The contrast can help myelin adjustments target what truly matters: precision in the shared core, rather than mindlessly copying a single situation. As you go about your days, notice how often timing weaves through life. Catching a ball, merging into traffic, understanding a joke, answering at the right moment in a conversation. Myelin supports these microsynchronies. You won't feel it wrapping, but you will feel its gift. Less friction between intention and action, fewer missed beats between perception and response. For many people, the idea that brains can change begins with synapses and ends there. Myelin broadens the picture. It's the craft of the road, not just the intersections. The choreography of arrivals, not only the strength of a handshake. When you cultivate conditions for learning, you are also tending these quiet coats, encouraging the right fibers to become swifter and more economical. Let your shoulders drop a little, in and out. Imagine a long route inside you, An idea forming in one region, traveling through insulated segments, hopping across bright nodes, arriving at a muscle as a gentle movement, or at a memory as a clear recall. Somewhere along the way, a few layers have thickened because you showed up yesterday and the day before with patience. Somewhere else, spacing between nodes shifted just enough that a partner signal now meets it at the same instant. You didn't force this, you invited it with rhythm. If a day goes poorly, practice feels clumsy, attention won't hold, nothing is lost. Construction slows when the weather is rough. Return tomorrow with kinder conditions. Trust that maintenance continues in small ways, even when you rest. That sleep crews are real. That quiet is part of progress. And as night gathers, picture the builders at work by lamplight. A new wrap laid here, a seam smoothed there, a node adjusted like a carefully placed stepping stone. No fanfare, only craft. Over time, the path becomes sure. Your thoughts reach each other more easily. Your actions line up with your intentions. The song holds together in the dark. Breathe once more, easy, unhurried, and let the steady work continue while you drift. Let your body settle like a book, closing softly at the end of a chapter. In and out. As the room grows quiet, a different kind of work begins, the night shift your brain has been patiently waiting for. Sleep isn't the absence of doing, it's a change of crew. Lights dim on the conscious stage, curtains draw, and behind them carpenters, librarians, and street sweepers step in with toolboxes, blueprints, and brooms. The day's fragile gains, new ideas, practice steps, half-remembered names, are still wobbly scaffolds. Sleep is how the structure sets. When you drift off, you don't fall into one single pool. You move through a rhythm, lighter drowsy edges, then deeper slow waves, then a bright, paradoxical stage where the eyes flicker and dreams bloom. A full loop takes roughly the length of a short episode, about an hour and a half, and you repeat it again and again through the night. Early cycles carry heavier, deeper sleep, like thick, restoring clay. Morning cycles bring more dreaming, like a painter's quick, colourful strokes. Both matter. They are partners in a quiet craft. In the deep, unhurried valleys, slow wave sleep, your brain hums in synchronized waves, like crowds breathing together. Here, the hippocampus, your day's notebook, replays patterns to the cortex, your long-term library. Imagine a librarian walking the stacks with a cart, reshelving today's books where they'll be found tomorrow. The replay is compressed and efficient, and the cortex listens carefully. Keep that phone number, file that new chord, save the face that went with that conversation. Not everything makes it to a shelf. Rehearsals that were rushed, unmeaningful, or scattered are left on the cart for recycling. In this way, deep sleep preserves what matters and gracefully forgets what doesn't, preventing your mind from becoming a cluttered attic. Another sign of the night at work is the soft sparkle of sleep spindles, brief bursts that look like tiny stitches on an evening fabric. They rise most often in lighter non-REM stages and help zip together related fragments, this fact with that context, this motion with that timing. Think of spindles as the needle and thread that secure snapshots into a story, paired with K-complexes, single gentle thunderclaps that stabilize sleep. They help protect your slumber from minor disturbances while the stitching continues. Then there is the strange creative workshop of dreaming, REM sleep. Your brain lights up in patterns that resemble waking, yet your muscles are calmed, safely quiet. Here the night crew doesn't just file, it edits and experiments. Emotions from the day are softened and sorted. Sharp edges are sanded down under the watch of circuits that regulate fear and meaning. Problems are tried on like costumes. What if we solve it this way? And sometimes a playful solution waits for you at breakfast. You might wake with a lyric, a clearer line of code, a kinder interpretation. Dreams don't always make sense to the storyteller in you, but they can leave behind a workable map. Underneath all of this is the housekeeping crew sweeping the city streets. During deep sleep, the spaces between brain cells widen a little. Cerebrospinal fluid flows like a night tide, washing through tissues and carrying away the day's metabolic litter. It's a rinse cycle supported by star-shaped helpers that guide and channel the flow. No alarms, no fuss, just the simple wisdom that a system runs better when it is cleaned regularly. You don't feel this tide, but you feel its absence. The fog, the heaviness, the slow wits of a night cut too short. Another quiet repair. The day often cranks the volume on synapses all across the brain as you learn and react and pay attention. That global loudness is useful in the moment, but expensive. Sleep dials it back to a sustainable baseline, trimming the noisy overgrowth while sparing the branches that were truly important. In the morning, the same cues stand out more clearly against a quieter background. You didn't gain raw power overnight. You regained signal to noise. Mood rests here too. A well-slept brain is like a calm harbour. Incoming waves are read as waves, not storms. Without enough sleep, the alarm systems in emotional circuits grow jumpy. Traffic lights in the prefrontal neighbourhoods blink out of sync. Small frustrations feel large, and neutral faces seem stern. After good rest, that coordination returns. You're more likely to pause, to interpret gently, to answer with the person you mean to be. All of this unfolds according to a day-night choreography. One clock tracks the time of day, tuned by light. Morning brightness tells your master clock that the show has started. Evening dimness tells it to dim the stage. A second pressure gauge measures how long you've been awake. Adenosine accumulates like sleepy sand in the hourglass. Caffeine can block the feeling of sand, but it doesn't empty the glass. When the block wears off, the sand is still waiting. Sleep clears it in one sweep, and the gauge resets for a new day. You don't have to force the night shift, you invite it. Little rituals send your crews clear instructions, lower the lights an hour before bed, and your inner clock hears the cue to release the evening messenger that says, it's time to soften. Keep the room cool, and the body's core temperature can drift down, which it likes to do as it sleeps. Step away from glowing rectangles, especially small, bright ones close to your face. And attention unhooks from artificial noon. Give your mind a landing strip, a short list on paper for tomorrow, a gentle paragraph in a journal, a few slow breaths, while you scan the body from scalp to toes. These aren't chores, they're welcome mats. Naps are small night shifts. A brief rest, 10 to 20 minutes, can rinse the surface, sharpen attention, and soften irritability without dragging you into sleep inertia when you wake. A full cycle nap, around 90 minutes, lets you dip through deeper stages and dreaming, consolidating a piece of learning if you need it. Keep naps earlier if nighttime sleep is fragile. Think of them as appetizers, not a second dinner. If your nights are irregular, shift work, jet lag, new parenthood, offer the system consistency wherever you can. Keep a stable anchor of light. Seek daylight as soon as you wake, even if morning arrives at 3 p.m. Protect darkness when your sleep time comes. with shades or a simple mask. Use sound to your advantage. Steady, neutral noise can smooth out bumps. The brain is generous. It will adapt as best it can when your signals are clear. Practice and sleep are a duet. Learn by day and you lay tracks. Sleep by night and you secure them. If you're stuck on a skill, consider splitting practice into small islands across the day, letting micro-consolidation happen between them. Even resting with eyes closed for a few minutes after a focused effort can protect fragile gains. The message to your brain isn't work harder. It's this matters and we'll return. There's a tenderness to how sleep treats memory. It doesn't keep everything you hand it. It keeps what you marked with meaning. Curiosity, relevance, emotion, and repetition all tag a moment for the shelf. So if you hope to remember a passage or a person's name, take 5 quiet seconds to care about it, to picture it, to whisper it, to link it to something already dear. You're pinning a note to the night cruise clipboard. This one, please. You might notice that some mornings carry a clear aftertaste, a melody you can hum more easily, a concept that finally clicked, a lighter understanding of a conversation that troubled you yesterday. That's the edit. It isn't always dramatic. More often, it's a slight shift. Less effort required, fewer snags, a kinder interpretation. These tiny improvements compound. One calm night won't change everything, but many will move mountains grain by grain. If the mind races at bedtime, counter with structure, not force. Give thoughts a place to stand. Write a worry list, a page where tomorrow's tasks agree to wait. Guide your attention to sensations that don't demand analysis. The feeling of the sheets, the air at the nostrils, the gentle weight of the body. Try a count that pairs with breath. In for 4, easy pause, out for 6. Longer exhales lean the nervous system toward safety. If sleep doesn't arrive, rest anyway. Quiet wakefulness is not failure. It still lowers the city's traffic and lets some maintenance proceed. There is evidence that even the builders who lay insulating wraps around axons prepare their tools most earnestly during sleep. It fits the theme. Learning by day requests smoother roads. Night crews stock materials, schedule work, and begin the upgrades. The result isn't something you feel as a dramatic shift. It's the gentle certainty that your timing is better, your signals cleaner, your steps more in sync than yesterday. Not every night will be perfect. Weather changes, emergencies arrive. Treat poor sleep like an unexpected storm, not a prophecy. Protect the next night. Seek morning light. Move your body kindly, eat regular meals, and resist long naps that might push your clock later. Trust that the rhythm returns with small, steady cues. If you'd like, practice a tiny ritual now. Imagine closing the office door of your day. Click. Picture a custodian flicking on a soft lamp and wheeling in a cart stacked with folders labeled Today. See them sort. Keep. Archive. Recycle. Hear a distant street washer moving along a quiet avenue. Feel the building grow cooler as unnecessary rooms go dark. Nothing is being lost without purpose. Everything essential is being tucked where it belongs. Breathe in, long enough to feel your ribs widen. Breathe out, a shade longer, like a tide slipping back. Notice the first signs of surrender in the body, the way the eyes prefer to close, the way the tongue rests, the way thoughts loosen their insistence and become gentler weather. The night shift is ready. Give them the city. They know the routes, the rooms, the shelves. They'll be here until morning, turning today into something you can stand on tomorrow. Let your breath find an easy pace, in and out. Now imagine the simplest movement. A quiet walk through your room, a gentle sway of the shoulders, a slow turning of the neck to look toward a window. Even this small motion sends a message inward. We're exploring. Keep the lights on, make learning easier. Your muscles speak a chemical language your brain understands. With every step, they release signals that travel through the body and whisper to your nervous system. Grow, connect, repair. One of those messengers has a friendly nickname, fertilizer for neurons. It helps nerve cells sprout new branches, strengthen synapses, and stay resilient. When you move, especially in rhythmic ways like walking or easy cycling, levels of this growth supporter tend to rise. Think of it like watering a garden that's been waiting for rain. Paths you practiced earlier, names, steps, phrases, are more likely to take root when the soil is moist. Movement also adjusts your brain's focus knobs. A little norepinephrine brightens attention. A hint of dopamine adds motivation. Endorphins and the body's own cannabinoids soften the sharp edges of stress. The result isn't a jittery burst, it's a clearer stage for signals to play. You feel it as steadier concentration, kinder mood, and an easier time starting the next small task. Under the surface, your circulatory system responds. Blood vessels become better at dilating, a whisper of nitric oxide, opening tiny roads to deliver oxygen and glucose more efficiently. Over time, new capillaries can grow, a quiet expansion of the city's side streets. So active neighborhoods in your brain are fed without delay. Energy engines inside cells, mitochondria, multiply and tune up, making it cheaper to think, learn, and stay calm. There's a lovely twist to the old idea of burning fuel. A byproduct of effort, lactate, doesn't just signal fatigue. It can act as a friendly courier, crossing into the brain to be used as energy and to nudge plasticity in helpful directions. Meanwhile, your muscles release small proteins known as myokines, messages like irisin or cathepsin B, that carry news of your movement to the brain, encouraging growth, mood balance, and repair. You don't need to memorize their names to benefit. You'll know them by their effects: a lighter mind after a walk, a problem that feels more solvable, a gloom that lifts a notch. Gentle, regular activity sets the background chemistry for learning. The hippocampus, the part of you that helps file fresh memories, seems especially responsive to movement. With a body in motion, its circuits tend to embed new experiences more cleanly and keep similar memories from blurring together. If you're learning a phrase, a rhythm, or a concept, a short bout of movement before or after practice can be like pressing save on the day's progress. Not all movement needs to be intense. A simple rule of thumb: consistency beats heroics. Most benefits arrive from modest effort you can repeat. Easy to moderate conversation pace, where you can talk in full sentences without gasping. Think of this as all-day stamina training for your brain. Add tiny occasional sprints if they feel good, brief, playful surges that wake your system, then coast again. Layer resistance work a couple of times a week using body weight or light weights to speak to another part of your brain's health. Steady signals along strong, well-insulated nerves, and a confident map of where your body is in space. Balance and coordination are brain food too. Slow single-leg stands while brushing your teeth, gentle heel-to-toe walks along an imaginary line, or a few minutes of Tai Chi, yoga, or mindful stretching stimulate the systems that keep you upright, oriented, and calm. Dancing blends rhythm, coordination, memory, and joy. 4 invitations to plasticity at once. Even swaying to a favorite song for a minute or two tells your nervous system, connect these beats with these steps, and it listens. Nature adds a quiet multiplier. A walk among trees, or even along a street with patches of green, can lower the internal noise that blocks learning. Morning light helps set your inner clock, so alertness and sleep land at the right times. And that rhythm alone improves mood and memory. If outside isn't available, stand by a window, look far away for a minute, and let your eyes relax. You're reminding deep brain systems that the world is safe enough for focus. If starting feels hard, shrink the plan. Movement snacks work. 60 seconds of easy squats, a flight of stairs, a gentle set of calf raises, a slow stretch for your chest after long sitting. String 3 or 4 of these through the day. After you make tea, before a call, when a video buffers. Small spikes of circulation and chemistry add up, and each one is an invitation to the growth factors your brain appreciates. Pair movement with learning to braid the gains. Review a phrase while walking. Hum a bar of music between sets. After reading a page, stand, roll your shoulders, and sway as you summarize the key idea out loud. The body cues will tag the memory, and the memory will tag the body cues. Next time you sway, the idea returns more easily. Stress softens its grip when you move with kindness. The system that releases cortisol, the body's get ready alarm, learns to calibrate instead of blare. It's as if your body says, we can handle effort and we can return to calm. Over time, that confidence appears as better emotional regulation, a pause before reacting, a softer interpretation of a neutral face, a quicker return to baseline after a surprise. Sleep and movement are partners. A day with a little physical effort tends to invite deeper, more organized sleep. Better sleep then consolidates the skill you practiced and restores the chemistry that will help you move again tomorrow. If nights are unsettled, keep movement earlier in the day or very gentle near bedtime. Slow stretches, a short stroll, nothing that spikes the engine late. If you like structure, you can use simple anchors. Walk during 1 phone call each day. Do 10 slow sit-to-stands when you close your laptop. Balance on 1 foot while the kettle warms, then switch. Set a timer every 50 minutes to stand and take 10 deep breaths as you roll your shoulders back and down. None of this is dramatic. The brain adores routines softened by play. As your practice grows, you might explore 3 broad colors of movement: rhythmic endurance, easy walks, light cycling, relaxed swimming, steady, conversational, 20 to 40 minutes, or many tiny chunks across the day. This color boosts the growth signals that support learning and mood. Strength and power, gently delivered. Controlled push-pull hinge squat patterns, light carries, floor rises. These sharpen brain-to-muscle lines, reinforce balance maps, and keep everyday movements effortless. Coordination and grace, dance, tai chi, yoga, throwing and catching, footwork drills at a comfortable pace. These challenge timing and cross-body communication, the brain's favorite puzzles. Keep the dose humane. If you finish hungry for more tomorrow, you hit the sweet spot. If you finish dreading the next session, you asked for too much. Progress likes whispers, not shouts. On days when motivation hides, lower the bar until you trip over it. Stand up and stretch your arms overhead for 3 breaths. Step outside for 1 minute and notice something green. March in place while you count to 60. Often the first 30 seconds dissolve the invisible wall. If not, you still moved. That counts. It's okay to rest. Recovery is when your tissues adapt, when your brain edits and files, when the chemical messengers you summoned decide where to invest. Soreness should be a polite hello, not a shout. If you're managing pain or a medical condition, keep movements smaller and slower and consider asking a clinician for a personalized path. The principle remains. Frequent, gentle signals are better than rare, heroic ones. You can make movement social, which multiplies the benefits. A quiet walk with a friend combines rhythm, conversation, and belonging. 3 of the safest feelings for a nervous system. Group classes offer music and mirroring. Your brain loves synchrony. If solitude suits you, pair your stroll with a favorite podcast or an episode of calm silence, noticing the sounds around you as if they were a soft radio. Try a tiny experiment now. Sit or stand tall. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts as you slowly lift your shoulders halfway toward your ears. Pause for a beat. Exhale for 6 counts as your shoulders melt down and back. Repeat 5 times. Then, while breathing softly, turn your head a few degrees left and right, as if saying no to hurry. Notice the brain's response to this small choreography. A touch more alert, a touch more relaxed. You just paired movement with breath, an easy doorway to focus. Another micro practice. Take 60 steps counting each one. On odd numbers, think here. On even numbers, think now. Let your eyes visit near, mid, and far distances as you go. You're training attention gently while telling your vestibular and visual systems, coordinate, please. When you sit back down, notice whether words arrive more readily. Over weeks, these small choices change the background of your days. You may find ideas showing up while you walk, names returning more quickly, moods that once slid downhill stabilizing at a friendlier slope, skills that stalled inch forward. The brain learns, this environment is supportive. It's worth investing in new connections. If you miss a day, nothing is ruined. Think like a gardener. You water again tomorrow. Grey weather comes and goes. Roots hold. The most powerful identity you can choose here is simple. I'm the kind of person who moves a little most days. Let that be enough. Let it be gentle. The chemistry will take care of the rest. As night approaches, picture the echo of your steps traveling inward, a quiet drum encouraging growth factors to circulate, vessels to open, cells to refuel. See the day's movement and the coming sleep trade handshakes. I'll set up the scaffold, says movement. I'll secure it, says sleep. In the morning, take one soft step and feel how the path is already a shade smoother. In and out. Then another step, easy, unhurried. And the brain nods. Yes, this. Keep going. Let your breath soften, in and out. Imagine your brain as a quiet workshop lined with tiny lamps. Every thought, every memory, every calm breath uses materials from your body. The oils that form cell membranes, the minerals that let signals spark, the water that keeps everything moving. Food is how you restock the shelves. Not a test, not a punishment, just daily supplies for a craft that never stops. Start with the structure itself. The outer layer of your brain cells and the delicate branches that receive signals are made from fats. And some of the most helpful are the long, flexible omega-3s. They keep membranes supple so receptors can move and meet, so signals can land smoothly. You meet them in fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, in walnuts, flax, chia, and hemp. And, if you don't eat fish, in algae oil, which offers the same type your neurons love. Think of them as the cushioning in the library chairs. Not flashy, but crucial for comfort and clarity over time. Alongside those fats sits choline, a building block for both membranes and a key messenger that helps attention and memory. Eggs are rich in it, so are soybeans, chickpeas, and certain greens. When you include choline regularly, you're making sure the workshop has enough paper and ink to keep labeling and filing your days. Signal makers need minerals. Iron carries oxygen, so your engines can think without strain. You can find it in beans, lentils, tofu, leafy greens, and meats if you eat them. Pair plant iron with something bright, citrus, tomatoes, peppers, so more of it is absorbed. Zinc and copper help your brain's enzymes fold and function. You'll meet them in seeds, nuts, legumes, and whole grains. Iodine supports the hormones that set your brain's tempo. A simple way to keep that steady is to use iodized salt in cooking, unless a clinician has asked you not to. Magnesium helps calm overexcited circuits and supports sleep. It hides in pumpkin seeds, almonds, black beans, leafy greens, and even a square of dark chocolate. B vitamins, especially B12 and folate, are the quiet accountants that keep energy flowing and DNA repair tidy. Folate lives in greens and legumes. B12 lives in animal foods and in fortified options or supplements if you're plant-based. Color is not decoration, it's information. Berries, purple grapes, olives, oranges, tomatoes, greens, and herbs carry polyphenols, protective compounds that help manage the daily wear and tear of being alive. They don't turn you into a different person overnight, but they tune the background so learning and mood aren't constantly fighting rust. When you scatter color across your plate, you're stocking the workshop with gentle cleaners and spare parts. Fiber is a quiet architect. It feeds the microbes in your gut, and in return, they make short-chain fatty acids and other messengers that talk to your immune system and your brain. Whole grains, beans, lentils, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds are all invitations to that conversation. Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, can add friendly strains. You don't need a perfect list, you need variety over time. Think of the gut as a neighbor workshop that shares tools through a side door. When you feed it, your brain benefits. Energy quality matters for focus. Your brain runs on glucose, but it prefers a steady stream, not a roller coaster. You can slow the ride by pairing carbohydrates with fiber, protein, and fat, oats with nuts and berries, apples with peanut butter, rice with beans and greens, bread with olive oil and hummus. When meals arrive like calm tides, attention holds and moods wobble less. Water is the workshop's plumbing. Even mild dehydration can fuzz attention and make everything feel heavier. Keep a glass or bottle within reach and sip through the day. Tea, especially green or oolong, can offer a gentle lift plus compounds that smooth jittery edges. Coffee can be a fine tool for alertness if it treats you kindly. Morning tends to be friendlier than late afternoon. If you notice tension or broken sleep, try water first, then a smaller coffee later, or pair your cup with a small snack so it lands more gently. There are a few small treasures many people enjoy. Cocoa with high cocoa content carries flavonols that can support blood flow to busy brain regions. Turmeric in soups or eggs brings curcumin, especially when paired with a pinch of black pepper and a little fat. Extra virgin olive oil adds polyphenols and supports flexible membranes. None of these are magic, but together they're like upgrading a few key tools in the kit. What to ease back? Ultra-processed foods that combine refined starch, added sugars, and isolated fats can push the roller coaster higher and drain steady energy. Trans fats, often in older packaged pastries, stiffen membranes and aren't friends to your workshop. Alcohol blunts sleep architecture and can make next day's signals messy. If you drink, keeping it light and not too close to bedtime helps the night crew do its job. Salt is a tool, not a villain. Aim for flavor from herbs, citrus, and spices, so you can use salt on purpose rather than by accident. Cooking is part of the care. Gentle methods, steaming, simmering, baking, sautéing, keep fat stable and flavors calm. Use olive oil for low to moderate heat and dressings, and choose higher smoke options like canola or avocado oil when you truly need heat. Roast vegetables until their edges sweeten. Keep a jar of toasted seeds to sprinkle on soups and salads. Cut fruit into a bowl at eye level. What you see, you eat. If you like structure, you can set friendly anchors without turning food into homework. In the morning, build a small bowl that covers the bases, oats or yogurt, a handful of berries, a sprinkle of nuts and seeds, maybe a spoon of ground flax. At midday, lean on greens or hearty vegetables, a protein you enjoy, beans, tofu, fish, chicken, eggs, and a drizzle of olive oil with lemon and herbs. In the evening, keep it simple, a colourful vegetable, a whole grain or potato, and a protein. Add a fermented side if you like. Between meals, think in pairs, fruit plus nuts, carrots plus hummus, whole grain toast plus tahini, tea plus a square of dark chocolate. None of this is rigid. Swap, adjust, and keep the pattern gentle. Timing can help. Your inner clock's like regular meal times, a bright morning and a dim evening. Eating the larger meals earlier may help some people sleep more easily. Others do well with balanced portions through the day. If nights feel restless, let the last meal be finished a couple of hours before bed and favor calmer flavors. If mornings feel flat, a little protein and fiber early, eggs and greens, yogurt and fruit, tofu scramble with vegetables, can steady the first hours. Cravings are information, not moral failures. Sometimes they say, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, or I need comfort. Meet the need directly when you can. Sleep, water, warmth, a call with a friend, and the pull softens. When you choose the treat, enjoy it with your full attention. Satisfaction is more likely when you actually taste what you're eating, and that reduces the loop of more, more, more. Slow down. Put the spoon down between bites. Notice texture and temperature. Mindfulness isn't strict. It's allowing yourself to be present. Cultural foods are part of health. The brain thrives on belonging. Make space for the dishes that tie you to your people. Spiced rice, stews, breads, soups, pickles, and nudge them toward balance with extra vegetables, legumes, herbs, and a thoughtful fat. Pleasure and connection lower the background noise in your nervous system. A calmer background makes learning and sleep easier. If you're plant-based, a few notes keep the shelves stocked. Consider an algae-based omega-3. Make sure B12 is covered through fortified foods or a supplement. Pair iron-rich plants with vitamin C, and keep iodine in the picture with iodized salt or a little seaweed used wisely. If you eat fish, small oily options like sardines are nutrient-dense and lower on the food chain. If you eat dairy, yogurt and kefir can bring protein, calcium, and friendly microbes. If you avoid dairy, fortified plant milks can fill that role. Small swaps add up. Whole grain instead of refined olive oil instead of shortening. Beans once more this week, an extra handful of greens, fruit for something sweet after dinner. You don't need to change everything tomorrow. Each swap is a quiet vote for clearer mornings and steadier afternoons. Try a tiny, kind experiment this week. Choose one meal you eat often and add one brain-helpful element. A spoon of seeds on your salad, chopped herbs on your eggs, a side of beans with your rice, berries on your cereal, a drizzle of olive oil and lemon over steamed greens. Notice if the next couple of hours feel a touch more stable, then keep the upgrade if you like it. Another gentle practice: make a sleep cup in the evening. Warm milk or plant milk with a shake of cinnamon and a small spoon of cocoa, or simply herbal tea. Sip it away from screens, maybe while writing 3 lines about the day. You're telling your brain, we're landing now, and the nutrients are part of that message. Hydrate with intention. Start the day with a glass of water before coffee. Keep one in reach while you work. Add a squeeze of citrus or a sprig of mint if that helps you drink. If you sweat, remember the balance of electrolytes: potassium in fruits, vegetables and beans, magnesium in seeds and greens. Most days, food handles this if your plate is varied. If you're navigating a medical condition, allergies or medications, tailor the pattern with a clinician who knows your story. The principle doesn't change: variety, color, fiber, steady energy, and fats that keep membranes flexible. The execution is yours. Breathe in. Picture tomorrow's meals as small acts of care rather than projects. A bowl, a handful, a drizzle, a pinch. Breathe out. Your brain doesn't need perfection to grow. It needs supplies delivered most days and the stress around eating turned down. When you stock the shelves with simple, colorful foods and drink enough water, you make learning easier, mood kinder, and sleep more restorative. As you wind down tonight, imagine the workshop lights dimming over tidy benches, jars of seeds labeled, a basket of fruit within reach, a bottle of olive oil near the stove, greens washed and waiting, a little yogurt or beans ready in the fridge. Nothing elaborate, just the next easy meal already half made by your past self who cared about you, in and out. Tomorrow you'll eat, and the lamps will glow steadily, and your brain will quietly say thank you by working a little more smoothly than before. Let your shoulders drop and your breath lengthen, in and out. Imagine learning not as a climb up a hard staircase, but as waves brushing a shoreline, arriving, retreating, arriving again. Each return leaves the sand a little smoother. Practice works like that. Short visits, spaced apart, with room for the tide to set the shape. You don't need heroic effort, you need rhythm. When you first meet something new, a phrase, a movement, a concept, keep the session small enough that you could happily repeat it tomorrow. Stop while the work still feels friendly. That last, unspent bit of willingness is fuel for the next visit. Then step away. In the quiet that follows, your brain begins to knit. Subtle, silent, strengthening the traces you just laid down. Spacing is not procrastination. It is part of the process. The first return should come sooner than you think, later the same day or the next morning, because fragile paths love quick revisits. After that, lengthen the gaps. A day later, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. Each return says, keep this, and the widening space says, make it durable. What you do during each return matters. Don't only reread or replay. Try to pull the idea back from memory before looking. This gentle tug, retrieval, tells your brain the connection is worth investing in. If it feels effortful, good. That little stretch is a builder's signal. You can keep it kind, Begin with a tiny cue. Murmur the first words, picture the first step, then let the rest surface. When you check yourself, do it with curiosity rather than judgment. Errors are invitations to reinforce, not verdicts on who you are. Vary the surface while you keep the core. If you're learning a chord progression, play it softly, then a touch faster, then with your eyes closed. If you're studying a concept, explain it to a child you imagine, then to a skeptical friend, then in a single sentence, you could text to someone. If you're practicing a language, ask for water in the kitchen, then in your mind at a cafe, then while you stand by a window. Context changes wake up attention and teach your brain to recognize the pattern in many rooms, not just one. Let play be your teacher. Give yourself tiny constraints. Learn the idea as a limerick, as a sketch, as instructions for a robot. Set a timer for 5 minutes and invent the silliest example that still follows the rule. Humor lowers the inner guard. Lowered guards let plasticity in. Children learn this way by default. You can too. Pretend, exaggerate, make a wrong version on purpose and then fix it. Wear the idea like a costume for 1 minute and see how it moves. Alternate topics in small scoops rather than exhausting one completely before touching the next. Interleaving feels messy, but teaches your system to choose the right response among similar ones. Work on A for 10 minutes, then B for 10, then C, then back to A. You're not trying to prove mastery in a single sitting. You're teaching recognition and discrimination. This chord, not that one. This formula, not its friendly twin. This foot placement, not the tempting near miss. Chunk what is complicated. Find small, meaningful units and practice them until they feel like single pieces. 2 bars, not the whole song. 1 step of the proof, not all 4. How to hold the racket, not the entire rally. Then stitch chunks together. The seam will show at first. With spacing, it smooths. If a seam keeps catching, zoom back in and polish just that joint. The brain loves tidy joins. Feedback is best when it is timely and light. Immediate, precise cues help in the beginning. A bit more wrist, move the minus, stress the second syllable. As you grow steadier, delay the check a breath or two so retrieval can do its work. Summaries beat floods. 1 thing to keep, 1 thing to change. Write them down in small words you'll recognize later. When you return, begin by reading yesterday's 2 notes. It will feel like sitting in a chair you already like. Keep sessions short enough that attention stays generous. Many people like 20 to 30-minute bouts. Others prefer 10 minutes, repeated often. Pick a length that you can protect from notifications and hurry. End with a micro review. Close your eyes and list 3 takeaways, or play the cleanest version you can manage once, then stop. That last clean pass is like a bow on the package you're about to mail to your sleeping self. Use the body to help the mind. Stand up between topics. Walk for 2 minutes while you mumble a definition. Tap a slow rhythm as you rehearse a formula. Gesture while you explain. You'll remember better because you enrolled more of your nervous system. If you're stuck, step away and do a physical reset. 5 easy breaths with long exhales, a gentle shoulder roll, a stretch that opens the chest. Then try again. Often the path appears once the static drops. Make the environment your ally. Keep the tools for your practice visible and ready. The book open to the right page, the instrument tuned, the flashcards already shuffled, the document waiting with a single prompt at the top. Reduce the number of decisions between you and your first minute. When it's time to stop, leave a breadcrumb at the end. One note to your future self. Begin here. Emphasize this. Tomorrow's start becomes easy. Treat mistakes as maps. When something goes wrong, name the exact place it slipped. Was it the third finger, the negative sign, the second verb? Write a fix card just for that snag and rehearse it alone, slowly, 3 to 5 times, then once in context. You are teaching your brain to place extra insulation at the right joint instead of thickening the entire wire. Repair is targeted, kind, and brief. Practice speaking the thing aloud, even if your audience is a plant. Teaching forces clarity. Try the simplest script. What is it? Why does it work? Where would I use it? What could confuse me? If you trip, that's a signal to revisit the exact patch you couldn't say without reading. Replace jargon with plain images until you can swap back on purpose. Let novelty be a spark, not a demand. Change one variable at a time. If you adjust tempo, keep the key. If you move to a new key, keep the tempo. If you change environments, keep the task shorter. Surprise wakes the brain. Too much surprise overwhelms it. Aim for the edge of your competence, the place that asks for your best without scaring it away. That edge moves. Track it with curiosity. Pair practice with cues already in your day. After you make tea, 5 minutes on chords. After you return from a walk, 3 flashcards. Before you open your messages, 1 slow paragraph out loud. The cue becomes a doorway. You won't need motivation each time because habit will carry you. If you miss, don't negotiate with guilt. Restart at the next cue. Consistency is made of restarts. Write tiny wins in a visible place. Played bar 12 clean once. Explained it without notes. Found the right word. These are not boasts. They are data points your brain can use to recalibrate the story it tells about learning. Evidence of progress lowers threat. Lower threat improves plasticity. The loop tightens in your favor. Design overlearning gently. Once you can do a thing cleanly, do 1 extra short round. The bonus lap helps under pressure later. Keep it short to protect joy. Quit while you'd still say yes to 1 more if someone asked. Leave on a good note. Tomorrow's start depends on tonight's ending. You can play with memory palaces and images if that delights you. Place the steps of a process in rooms of a familiar house. Turn each abstract term into a concrete object. Link them with a silly story that only you would invent. The weirder details make stable hooks. Your sleeping mind loves hooks. If focus scatters, shrink the task until it fits inside your current attention. Write 1 sentence that begins with because. Play the first 2 notes beautifully. Recall the definition's last line. Then celebrate the completion with a breath and choose the next atom. Momentum often grows from tiny completions. Let others in. Practice with a friend at the same time each week. Trade 1-minute explanations. Set a shared friendly challenge. 2 clean reps each, then a laugh and stop. Social learning adds warmth and accountability. The brain's mirror systems enjoy watching and being watched in low-pressure ways. Keep play at the center. If you can turn an exercise into a game, do it. Toss a die to pick the next item. Draw from a hat. Give yourself 3 power-up cards you can use to skip a task, call a hint, or take a 60-second dance break. Play makes repetition bearable. Bearable repetition becomes sustainable. Sustainable practice becomes skill. Interrogate friction kindly. If you keep avoiding a task, ask why. Is it too big? Break it. Too vague? Define the next concrete action. Too lonely? Add a person. Too loud? Change the room. Too late in the day? Move it earlier. Friction is a design problem, not a moral one. Change the design. Honor energy cycles. Most people have 1 or 2 bright zones each day when focus is easy. Put the hardest practice there. Put review and playful mixing in the dimmer zones. If you're not sure when your bright zones are, track for a week with 3 words, morning and afternoon. Sharp, fine, foggy. Patterns will appear. Ride them. End every session with a closing ritual. Stack the cards. Cover the instrument. Note the next step. Breathe once with your eyes closed. Tell yourself, I'll be back. Your brain listens. While you sleep, crews will stitch and sweep. When you return, the terrain will be a shade smoother. Try a tiny experiment now. Think of a micro skill you want. Pronouncing a tricky word, drawing a clean circle, recalling a short list. Spend 1 minute attempting it. Stop, breathe, and without looking, describe to yourself what changed. Now, rest for 30 seconds. Eyes soft, jaw loose. Try again for another minute. That's spacing in miniature. Notice the second attempt's ease, even if it's slight. That difference is the whole story told small. And if today was clumsy, you are still on the path. Clumsy is what progress feels like from the inside. The only requirement is to return. Return briefly, return kindly, return with a hint of play. The waves will do their work. In and out. You practice. You rest. You smile at the next small win. Over days you look back and realize the shoreline has changed. Let your breath slow until it feels almost effortless. In and out. Imagine a dimmer switch inside you, the system that decides how bright to make your alertness. When life is loud, the switch slides up. Heart quickens, pupils widen, muscles brace, thoughts narrow to what feels urgent. That rise is useful in short bursts. But when the dial stays high for too long, learning stiffens. Attention tunnels. Sleep thins. The brain's builders, those patient crews that wire new pathways, hesitate to work on a shaking scaffold. To grow well, your nervous system needs signals of safety. Safety isn't a thought you shout at yourself. It's a collection of small cues your body recognizes. Your stress response runs on a conversation between brain and body. The amygdala starts the alarm. The prefrontal cortex tries to interpret. The hypothalamus and pituitary send messages, and the adrenals release cortisol to mobilize fuel and focus. In healthy rhythms, cortisol is highest in the morning to help you wake and gradually softens through the day. Chronic worry, constant interruptions, and unkind self-talk can keep that dial turned up past sunset. The goal is not to turn it off, but to teach it range, to rise when needed and reliably come home. Begin with breath, because it is the fastest lever you can pull from the inside. Long exhales tell the body, we're safe enough to slow down. Try this shape. Inhale gently through the nose for 4 counts. Pause for 1. Then exhale through the nose or pursed lips for 6 to 8 counts. Do 5 rounds, unforced. Notice the subtle shifts. Shoulders dropping a notch, the jaw slackening, thoughts gaining a bit of space. If counting feels fussy, use sound. Hum softly on the exhale, or whisper a long VVV or The vibration nudges the vagus nerve, the body's long safety wire, to lean toward calm. Another quick tool is the double inhale with a long sigh. Take a small inhale, then a second sip of air to comfortably fill, followed by a long, slow exhale until empty. 2 or 3 of these can release chest tightness and reset a spiraling moment. If you prefer movement to breath, try a 60 to 90 second shake and settle. Stand, shake out wrists, forearms, shoulders, Then end with 3 slow shoulder rolls and 1 long exhale. You're letting your body discharge the get ready signal and then practice returning. Your senses are levers too. Orienting is simple and powerful. Lift your gaze and gently scan the room, naming 5 things you can see, 4 you can feel, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste or imagine tasting. This grounds your attention in real cues rather than imagined threats. Sightlines matter. When your eyes lift and look far, out a window, down a hallway, the nervous system reads space available, which is safer than a tight tunnel of near focus. Touch can be an anchor. Place 1 hand on your chest and 1 on your belly. Let the bottom hand rise more than the top on the inhale. Let both soften on the exhale. Or try a small pressure reset. Press your thumb and forefinger together and hold for 5 breaths, then release slowly. Weighted blankets, firm hugs, a warm mug in your hands, these are all containment signals that say, held. Temperature cues help. A splash of cool water on cheeks or a cool breeze on your face can steady a rising tide. Warmth to hands and feet invites the body to release bracing. Sound is a carrier of safety. Steady, low, continuous sounds, rain, distant waves, a fan, can smooth spikes in vigilance. Gentle music at a tempo close to your resting heart rate can coax your pulse to follow. Your own voice is a strong signal. Read a paragraph out loud, slowly, or recite a familiar verse. When your brain hears you speak calmly, it updates its threat estimate. Let's widen from tools to terrain. Think of your day as a body budget. Demands withdraw, rests and nourishment deposit. Chronic overdraft keeps cortisol high. To restore margin, look for places to add small deposits. Morning light within an hour of waking helps set your internal clock so energy peaks earlier and declines on time. A brief walk or stretch in that light multiplies the effect. Caffeine sits best in late morning after your natural alertness crest. Keep it earlier in the day so sleep can do its night shift cleanly. Eat regularly enough that your energy is steady. Pair fiber with protein and fat to avoid sharp swings that your brain might misread as danger. Boundaries are safety structures. News, messages, and alerts can act like little alarms. Corral them. Choose 2 or 3 windows a day to check the world and keep those windows short. Turn off non-essential notifications. Put your phone in another room for the first and last 30 minutes of the day. You aren't ignoring life. You're choosing when to meet it so your system can exhale. Your environment can become a refuge on purpose. Create 1 calm corner, a chair by a window, a blanket, a plant, a small lamp. Keep a physical cue there. A smooth stone, a favorite photo, a card with a few steadying lines. Visit this spot for 2 minutes between tasks. Consistency trains your body to associate the corner with settling. Scent is a strong tether. Choose 1 gentle smell, citrus peel, lavender, vanilla, cedar, and use it only when you intend to calm. Over time, a single inhale will help recall the calmer state. When stress runs high, attention narrows. Learning likes the opposite, a broad, curious focus. You can widen attention with pendulation. Gently move your awareness between something mildly stressful and something neutral or pleasant. For example, picture the difficult email for 1 slow breath. Then rest your eyes on a plant for 2 breaths. Return to the email for 1. Come back to the plant for 2. You're teaching your system that it can touch discomfort and then come home, building flexibility without overwhelm. Name what you feel. Language is a dimmer for the limbic system. Frustrated, jittery, tired and keyed up. The act of labeling shifts activity toward brain areas that regulate rather than react. Be precise if you can, but kind is more important than exact. Then add a tiny fact. This is a stress response, not the whole truth. It will pass. You're not denying reality. You're adding context that your survival circuits tend to ignore. Sleep is the great repair. Chronic stress erodes it. Better sleep unwinds stress. Give the night an easier job. Dim lights an hour before bed. Keep the room cool and quiet. Decide on a consistent land ritual. Warm shower stretch. 3 lines in a journal, a page of gentle reading. If ruminations barge in, do a brain dump on paper. Everything you're tempted to carry into bed. Place the page outside the bedroom as a physical sign that it will be there tomorrow. Social safety is powerful medicine. A kind voice from someone you trust can drop cortisol faster than any solo technique. Schedule small doses of connection, a 5-minute check-in with a friend, a shared walk, a meal eaten at a table rather than a screen. If people feel far, even listening to a calm, familiar narrator or singing softly along with a favorite song can simulate that social cue. Your nervous system is old. It recognizes chorus more readily than text. Movement disperses stress hormones and restores rhythms, but keep it kind. Conversation-paced walking, gentle cycling, easy dancing in your kitchen. Think move to soothe, not move to prove. Short, frequent bouts beat rare, punishing sessions. End with 3 long exhales to tell your body the effort is complete and we are safe again. Set wise containers for worry. Choose a 10 to 15 minute worry window once a day. When worries show up at noon, write them down and tell them, 4:30 is your time. When 4:30 arrives, sit with the list and sort it. Actions, one tiny step you can take. Archives, not actionable, just feelings. And conversations, things to share with someone. Outside this window, return to your breath or your task. You're not banishing worry. You're giving it a home so it doesn't roam freely. Practice micro-recovery between cognitive sprints. Work for 25 to 50 minutes, then take 2 to 5 minutes to reset. Stand, look far, drink water, 3 long exhales, quick orienting scan. These tiny exits prevent the threat dial from creeping up unnoticed and keep your brain in the learnable zone. Design if-then safety plans for predictable stressors. If my heart spikes before a call, then I do 2 sigh breaths and orient to 3 blue objects. If I read criticism, then I put a hand on chest and name 3 facts I know are still true. Plans turn surprises into cues for regulation, shrinking the time you spend in the tunnel. Kind self-talk is not fluff, it's a biological input. The alarm system listens to the narrator. Try swapping "what's wrong with me" for "this is hard and I'm learning." Swap "I can't handle this" for "I can take one step." The body hears threat in contempt and hears safety in encouragement. One small script to try. Something in me is alarmed. Something in me can breathe. Both are welcome. Remember that fear practices too. If you repeatedly rehearse catastrophe, the pathways that support it strengthen. You don't fight this by force. You dilute it with other reps. 2 minutes noticing glimmers, tiny good things, like a soft shadow on the wall or the taste of your tea, counts. Write 3 glimmers each evening. you're teaching the bias toward threat that it doesn't own the whole map. Build a simple, calm kit you can reach without thinking. A card with your 3 favorite breath patterns, noise cancelling or soft earbuds, a smooth stone, a small scent, a few sentences that steady you, a photo that reminds you you belong. Keep one at your desk and one in your bag. When stress spikes, the fewer decisions you must make, the faster you'll return. When you're ready, practice learning inside mild stress on purpose. First, build the skill in calm. Then add a tiny challenge, a metronome, a hair faster, a mild time limit, a gentle audience of 1 friend. Do 1 clean rep and stop. You're teaching your brain that growth is possible, not only in perfect safety, but also in realistic conditions. This widens your window of tolerance, the range in which you can both feel and function. If you live with high ongoing stress, caregiving, shift work, uncertain finances, be compassionate with your rate of change. Shorten sessions, lower targets, increase rests. Think of minimum effective doses. 3 calming breaths at transitions, 5-minute walks, 1 nourishing snack already prepared, a firm bedtime boundary 3 nights a week. Progress under load is slower, but it's still progress. Your nervous system is plastic even when life is heavy. Try a micro practice now. Sit or stand tall, but not rigid. Look around the room and let your eyes land on something neutral or pleasant. Name it silently. Feel your feet or seat. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. Again. Now place 1 hand on your chest and 1 on your belly. Whisper, "Safe enough for this moment." Notice the tiniest shift. That is the doorway you'll use again and again. And if a day goes badly, if the dial shot up and stayed there, treat it like weather, not identity. Do 1 tiny reset before sleep, the double inhale sigh, a warm shower, a page of "I did," 3 things you did manage. Lights off a little earlier. The goal isn't perfect calm, it's frequent returns. Breathe once more, a little slower than before. The brain grows toward what it repeats. When you repeat safety, even in small scattered moments, you invite attention to widen, sleep to deepen, and circuits to soften and reshape. Cortisol learns it can rise like a wave and then recede. The builders step back onto the scaffold, and in that steadier light, learning becomes not a fight, but a conversation, patient, curious, and kind. Let your gaze soften as if you're looking at the sky through half-closed curtains. In and out. Imagine a small pool of light that you can move with your intention. Wherever you place it, details come alive. The sound of your breath at the nose, the weight of your hands, a single word on a page. This is attention, your portable spotlight. Stillness is the stagehand that steadies the beam. Attention is not a fixed trait, it's a trainable rhythm. At times it behaves like a narrow beam that illuminates 1 point with clarity. At other times it widens into a lantern that takes in a whole room at once. Both modes matter, the beam to learn and do, the lantern to sense and understand. Training isn't about freezing the light in one place. It's about learning to place it on purpose, hold it kindly, and move it without jerks. Begin with something simple and always available, the breath. Let it be your home base. You don't need to breathe any special way. Just notice 1 place where the breath is easy to feel. The air at the nostrils, the rise in the chest, the tilt of the belly. Place the light there. Count 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, and continue up to 10. If you lose count, and you will, smile inwardly, return to 1, and begin again. Each return is a repetition. Each repetition is the training. You are not failing at focus. You are strengthening the notice and return pathway that attention relies on. Now try softening the effort. Imagine you are listening to the breath rather than managing it. When the mind offers a thought, label it gently. Remembering, planning, worry, idea. Then set the label down and return to your anchor. Labels are like light taps on the shoulder. They acknowledge the visitor without inviting it to stay for tea. Over time, this light touch teaches your attention that it can witness without clinging. Stillness doesn't mean a perfect statue. It means less unnecessary motion. When the body is relatively quiet and comfortable, background signals fall, and the small cues of breath and heartbeat rise into awareness. Adjust your posture so it's both upright and easy, dignity without stiffness. Let the chin tilt slightly down, the jaw slacken, the tongue rest. Rest your hands where the shoulders don't need to help. A stable posture is like a tripod for the spotlight. You can also train attention in motion. Walk slowly, natural pace or slower, and let the soles of your feet be the anchor. Feel heel, roll, toe. When thoughts pull you, notice, label softly, and return to the next step. If sitting is a closed eye on the world, walking is an open eye. Both teach the same lesson. Notice, name if helpful, return. Attention has two common slips, scattering and gripping. Scattering is when the beam jumps quickly between many points, never settling long enough to see. Gripping is when the beam sticks too tightly to one worry, one itch, one thought. Stillness helps both. For scattering, narrow the beam. Choose one small sensation and stay with it for just 3 breaths, then 3 more. For gripping, widen. Include the feeling plus surrounding sensations. The breath, the room's sounds, the weight of your chair, until the stuckness has space around it. The brain likes cues and containers. Set a small timer, 3 to 5 minutes at first. The goal is not heroic duration, it's consistency. End while attention still feels cooperative. That last inch of willingness becomes tomorrow's start. You can add a minute every few days if you like, but only if the sessions stay kind. Let the timer be the boundary that holds you. The mind rests more easily when it knows someone is watching the door. You can play with different anchors. Try sound. Pick a gentle noise, the hum of a fan, distant traffic, night insects, and let the ear be your lens. If the mind starts narrating, return to raw hearing. Tone, rise, fall, silence between. Try vision. Soften the gaze on a neutral point and notice light, shape, and color without naming. Try touch. Place attention on the sensations in your hands. Warmth, tingling, stillness. The anchor is not important. The act of returning is everything. When you practice, you will meet urges to check, to fix, to scratch, to quit. Treat urges like waves. Feel their rise, their peak, their fade. You can even whisper, rising, peaking, falling. This is not a trick against the body, it's an education for it. Every urge that passes without command teaches your nervous system that not every impulse is an emergency. That lesson frees attention to stay. There is a gentle upgrade to focus, curiosity. Instead of stay here, try what exactly is here. If your anchor is the breath, notice the beginning of the inhale, the middle, the end, the beginning of the exhale, the middle, the end. Micro details keep attention engaged without force. Force tires, curiosity sustains. Sometimes the lantern mode is wiser. Sit and open awareness to the whole field of experience: breath, sound, contact, thought, mood, letting the light rest everywhere at once. If a single sensation grows loud, include it without shrinking the field. It's like lying in a meadow watching the sky. Clouds come and go, and you stay with the entire sky rather than chasing a single shape. This trains equanimity, the quality that allows learning in the presence of noise. The day offers countless doorways for practice. While the kettle warms, stand and feel the feet. At a red light, rest your hands on the wheel and count 1 breath. Before you open messages, 5 slow inhales and exhales. After you close the laptop, gaze at something far for 20 seconds and let the eyes soften. These micro-sessions stitch attention training into your life so it does not depend on a special cushion. Attention follows what the environment rewards. Protect it with small design choices. Silence non-essential alerts. Keep the phone out of reach during your focus block. Before you start a task, write the next physical action in simple words. Open file, name the layer, play bar 8. Remove the decision fog. The spotlight prefers a clear cue. Work in modest sprints, say 25 to 40 minutes. Then step away for 2 minutes to reset the senses. Look far, sip water, 3 long exhales. You're teaching the cycle of on, off, on, like a heartbeat for focus. If the mind complains, "I'm bad at this," notice the voice as a sound and return. The narrator is not the director. Replace harsh scripts with friendly ones. This is practice. Returning is the rep. Today's job is to show up. Encouragement lowers inner noise, and in the quieter room, the spotlight steadies. You can combine attention with kindness. At the end of a short sit, place a hand on your chest and wish yourself a simple phrase. "May I be steady," or "May my attention be gentle." Then offer a phrase outward. "May others be steady." This softens the edges that often make focus brittle. A calmer background allows a finer beam. If your attention is lively, full of bounce, shape practice to fit it. Keep sits shorter and more frequent. Use walking or standing anchors. Add a fidget you can attend to. A smooth stone, a soft ring that turns. Interleave 1 minute of focus with 30 seconds of movement for 10 rounds. This is not lesser practice, it is adapted practice. Some days the spotlight will feel dim or shaky. Sleep, food, hydration, and light all speak to attention. Seek morning daylight, 2 to 10 minutes if you can. Drink water, eat steady meals, move a little. These are not chores, they are conditions. Attention is not a disembodied thing, it's a body-mind duet. Try a small sequence now. Sit or stand comfortably. Let the eyes be soft. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Count to 10 with the breath. If you forget, return to 1. For the next minute, widen your awareness to include sounds, the breath, and the feeling of contact where your body meets chair or floor. Let all 3 be present. For the last 3 breaths, place a hand on your chest and notice the warmth. That's it. A short visit. The light turned on and off with your choosing. Attention strengthens when you use it under gentle pressure. After you've practiced in quiet, try 1 clean rep in a slightly busier environment. Soft cafe noise, a park bench, a waiting room. Keep the task small. 5 breaths, 3 sentences, 1 paragraph. Stop while you're still steady. This teaches mobility. The beam doesn't require perfect silence to work. Monotasking is a kindness to the beam. If you must switch, switch on purpose. Mark your place. Close the current loop, then begin the next. Open loop lists help. Write down what you're pausing so the mind doesn't clutch it. When you return, you'll have a rope to pick up. Vision habits matter. Screens encourage a narrow, near focus that can tighten the body and tire attention. Practice the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Let the eyes roam without landing. Notice how the breath follows, how the shoulders ease. A relaxed gaze supports a relaxed mind. If rumination visits during practice, give it a sandbox. Keep a small card beside you. When the important thought arrives, write a 3-word title and return to your anchor. This tells your mind you're not ignoring it, you're containing it. Often the urgency fades once the thought is safely parked. There is a moment in training when you notice the exact instant attention leaves, the half second before you're fully captured. That moment is gold. Celebrate it. It means meta-attention is lighting up, the part of you that can see where the beam is pointing and choose again. With repetition, this watcher grows quicker and kinder, and choosing becomes easier than being dragged. As the weeks gather, you may notice small differences. Starting feels simpler. Returning takes fewer steps. The body settles faster. Interruptions sting less. In conversation, you hear the last words someone says instead of rehearsing your reply. While reading, the page stays a place rather than a trampoline. These are signs that your spotlight is becoming yours. You don't need long retreats to keep the gains. You need dailiness. 3 minutes in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, 3 in the evening will do more than a single hour once a week. If you miss, begin again at the next natural pause. Attention training is forgiving because every moment is a chance to practice. End your days with a brief inventory. One place your attention stayed, one place it slipped, one place you returned. Write it as a single line. This is not judgment, it's a map. The brain adjusts what it measures. Tomorrow's beam will remember the path you traced tonight. Breathe once more, slower than before. Feel how simple senses, eyes, ears, skin, lungs, give you a place to place the light. You do not have to conquer your mind. You only have to practice choosing where to look and to return when you forget. Stillness is not the goal. It is the friend who holds the ladder while you change the bulb. In and out. Keep the beam gentle. Keep the returns kind. Over time, the pool of light grows steady enough to read by, to work by, to rest by, and your whole inner room becomes easier to live in. Let's land together, softly, in and out. If your eyes want to close, let them. If you're still awake and cozy, stay with me for a gentle wrap-up. Tonight, we wandered through a simple, powerful truth. Your brain listens to how you live. It rewires with what you repeat, strengthens what you practice, and relaxes what you release. Tiny bridges between cells learn your rhythms. The hippocampus tends your memories. Myelin smooths the roads so signals arrive on time. Sleep files and polishes. Movement bathes circuits in growth signals. Food stocks the shelves. Playful space practice makes learning stick. Safety opens the window for change. And your kind attention, the quiet spotlight you can place on purpose, invites it all to happen with less effort and more grace. If you want one small takeaway to carry into tomorrow, try this. Make change so gentle it fits inside a breath. 1 breath to pause before you react. 1 minute to walk after you read. 1 extra sip of water. 1 sentence out loud to test what you learned. 1 long exhale before bed. Small, steady acts are how a brain grows up kindly. Before we part, check in with your body. Unclench the jaw. Let the shoulders drop a ½ inch. Loosen the hands. Soften the belly so the breath has room. Notice a tiny patch of comfort. A warm cheek, a supported back, the weight of a blanket. Let your attention rest there for 3 easy breaths. That's your portable, safe place. You can visit it any time. If you're awake enough to reflect, you might whisper one of these to yourself. I can learn in small, kind steps. Returning is progress. Tonight I practiced calm. Tomorrow I'll practice again. And if you'd like a tiny plan for the morning, keep it simple and specific. After I wake, I'll seek a little light and take 10 slow steps. After I make tea or coffee, I'll review one idea for 2 minutes. At lunch, I'll add 1 color to my plate. Before evening screens, I'll breathe in for 4 and out for 6, 5 times. Before sleep, I'll name 3 small wins from the day. Now, if this episode kept you company, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, one tiny thing you're going to try this week. Maybe a 2-minute walk after reading, a single page before bed, a longer exhale, or adding berries to breakfast. If you're drifting off, you can simply type a word like growing, calm, or even an emoji. I'll know you were here. And if you're still awake, share where in the world you're watching from. It's beautiful to see our little sleepy map light up. If this helped you relax, please subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on the notification bell so the next gentle episode finds you right when you need it. It makes a real difference to this cozy corner of the internet and helps more tired minds find rest. If someone you care about could use a softer night, feel free to share this with them. You can also leave a note telling me which part you want more of next time. The science of sleep's night shift, simple movement rituals for brighter thinking, food that steadies focus, playful practice routines, stress-soothing tools, or attention training you can do in 3 minutes. Your requests shape these episodes. This is a conversation, not a lecture. If tonight felt rough, that's okay. Some days are loud. You still showed up. That matters. Your nervous system learns from the attempt, not just the perfect rep. Let the rest of the work happen while you sleep. The night crew knows what to do. For those already floating toward dreams, I'll leave you with a soft picture. Imagine a quiet city within, lamplight along winding paths, caretakers sweep, gardeners water, librarians file, road workers paint clean lines. The air is cool, the rooms are safe. Somewhere, a tiny new pathway glows. Somewhere else, an old knot loosens. Nothing is rushed. Everything important is kept. You are being readied for morning. Thank you for spending this time with the sleepy Brainist. Your presence here, your breaths, your patience, your willingness to believe in small changes, keeps this channel alive. When you wake, I hope you feel just a little clearer, a little kinder toward yourself, and a little more curious about what your brain can become. If sleep is calling, follow it. Let the screen fade to a soft glow or turn it off and rest in the dark. If you're still awake, linger with 3 more long exhales and notice how the body understands what that means. I'll be here next time. Same calm voice, same gentle science, waiting to walk with you again. Until then, take 1 small step, 1 slow breath, and 1 kind thought. Good night, traveler. May your mind grow quietly, wisely, and well.